Intersection Magazine Podcast. Welcome to Intersection Magazine Podcast. For March 2026 of Intersection Magazine Podcast, a summary of what we covered in the magazine. Here's what we'll be dealing with. We're going through a guide to Dubai. For those of you who wish to travel there or wish to immigrate there. This is written by Alessandro Palumbo. It's someone that I subscribe to through my email, or you might enjoy the conversations we have. We also have how Norway dealt with oil, and this is some ideas for nations who have recently found oil and who need to learn about how to manage resources. We also have predictions from on technology in Africa by Jumane Tambilike. He's an author we featured before. We also had a Q&A with Donald Massa of Summit Advocates and Founders Lounge Uganda. So that's basically the month of March 2026 of Intersection Magazine, and that's volume 10, issue 9. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Now, as usual, we normally have a section of the magazine where we feature some of the services that we have available. We have a course that I designed around web design, and I believe that you cannot thrive designing if you do not know anything about what it takes to become a host. So there are several tools that we will present in this section of the course to help you learn how to host websites as well as build websites. One of the things that is also happening that we need to be aware of is in the age of artificial intelligence, many tools have come to the surface that can help you design better, but we believe that you need some foundational knowledge of how this stuff works in terms of the code. So it will be a blend between some of the basics or some of the design by first principles, as well as design using tools that are available, both the modern tools and other tools such as content management systems, which are built with the help of tools, as well as which leverage the power of databases and tables. So for 2026 and for March, the article that Alexandra Palumbo is interested in tax structure. It's interested in the visas that they offer. He also talks about the pros and cons of moving to a destination like Dubai. Now, all of this took place, or when I was writing this, all of this took place with quite a lot of turmoil taking place between the Iranians, the Israelis, and the Americans. And of course, some of this has spilled over to the countries that are in the Middle East. But anyhow, let's go back to what we covered in the magazine. He described it as the indisputable capital in 2026. It's a capital of capital. He says that the UAE attracted 980,000 millionaires. In 2025, and it says that 130,000 millionaires live in the UAE, and there's a strong growth forecast for the decade. So he's basically trying to give us some of the reasons why it's an attractive destination for those who want to move there. he talks about the golden visa as something powerful that you should think about when moving there. The purpose of this article was to help you as a maybe as someone who's in charge of policy, who works for government, to see what we can do, what you can do for your country in terms of strategies that other countries are using to make their geographies more attractive. He talks about freelance visas, visas for companies with limited liability. He talks about free zoning structures, and then how to get the most of your golden visa. We also have the second section is what we normally feature with Founders Freedom, which offers their services from preparation to assessment, recommendation to business growth. And that's usually what they call their business growth map. And then they have the board formation, assessment, profiling, as well as induction, on how long all of this takes. We have also given you some of our costs for hosting, having your magazine, for having your advertisement in our magazine. We've also given you the costs of having you feature with us in our podcast. The podcast is really designed for technology and innovation, but we also have a podcast that's designed for those who are into more spiritual subjects. Our web design and hosting costs are also presented, and as well as our what we call our 4D methodology, which is discussion, design, deployment, and demystification or debugging. We've also presented you with 2 publications that we think you will benefit from as a communicator and as a consultant. And then in this issue, or with the conversation about how Norway thrived, one of the main ideas that they set up was the use of a government pension fund. All profits would flow into the fund, and the fund would invest globally in thousands of companies. The country would then withdraw only a small percentage each year, 4% and then 3%, and the rest would get invested forever. Currently, it has surpassed 2 trillion USD. For a country of just 5.6 million people, that works out roughly to about 340,000 US dollars per citizen. So that's quite some growth for a fund that started off, for maybe this. The first payment was 150 million in 1996, so now it's about 2 trillion USD. That's quite some tremendous growth. Now, I wanted to also share Germane Ntabilike's predictions for 2026. You could read those as a subscriber, but I'll just share 1 or 2 or 3. Broader adoption of AI, of Chinese AI models, longevity, more investment, radical life extension. He suggests that one country in Africa will announce a state-backed AI compute facility. Then he also foresees a time where AI agents will replace job functions in SMEs and startups. He's talking maybe about bookkeeping, grant writing, basic accounting, media, and market research. From the Real, one of the shows I really enjoyed watching is A Man in Full, just for I call them Americanisms. featured Lucy Liu and Diane Lane. And of course, a host of other characters, but it's really about a man who faces the demise of his company and his business. Now he must fight his way back to the top. For our Q&A, we had a conversation with Donald Mass of Summit Advocates. He is also the founder of Founders Lounge Uganda. Interested in his takes on the ecosystem, legal work, travel, the effect of his interactions with Silicon Valley, the work that he's doing as an ecosystem builder through the Founders Lounge, which is the largest community of founders in Uganda. We also have put together the last 4 issues of the magazine, just to give you a taste of what we covered. There was the issue or the article on time travel and decision making from NZS Capital's Brad Slingerland. We also covered the MTN report, bringing out some of the key issues. We also had investment thesis writing. I reviewed the life of Intersection magazine. We featured JICA, or Japan International Cooperation Agency. Here we were interested in the role of government corporations in international ecosystem building. I also interviewed a fictional AI governance system. We also talked about why governance matters. That was in February, because I felt like we were coming into an interesting time where geopolitics is going to have a direct effect on business, which some of you obviously already know. Micro poetry was a bit of a meditation on just life in general. And then our bakery section basically covered some of what we were offering for the month, even if there's been a bit of a decline. So that's basically the month of March 2026. I think you will enjoy the Q&A with Donald Massa. You'll enjoy predictions by Jumanne Mtabilike. He's a Tanzanian author and ecosystem builder, influential voice on the continent regarding startups and hubs and business enterprises. You'll also enjoy the piece on how Norway dealt with the discovery of oil. And then, of course, the starter piece, which is a guide to investment or a guide to immigration for those of you who are interested in areas like Dubai. So that's what we covered for the month of March. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing.
Intersection Magazine Podcast.